clear your intent.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting to order. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'll have our student rep lead us, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Kristen Kambenzi,
Here.
Jason Zadunik,
Here.
Jennifer Cliff,
Here.
Jennifer Ray, Cheryl Maddox Smith,
Here.
Cassidy Thomas,
Here.
Okay, and I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Zadunik, supported by Mrs. Maddox Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, President Kambenzi. Appreciate everybody coming out tonight amidst the weather. Like to start, I have a variety of topics to address and a host of guests that are going to help present the information, the proposals, which are all in your packet. But we're going to start with the Friends of the Shires Planetarium. Mr. Smith, are you running solo or are you waiting? Should I stall?
I think we need to hold if we can.
All right, we're gonna stall if that's okay and just move on to technology and then loop back to the Friends of the Shires Planetarium. Okay, so that means that Miss Ellie Gladwell, our technology director, will come up to talk about a proposal for some desktop computers.
Hello, thank you for having me. First thing, I'm not going to waste a lot of your time, but I do just want to highlight some of the wonderful things we have going on in the technology world right now. Starting with cybersecurity, all of our staff are now using multi-factor authentication to secure their accounts. In the last year, we've also beefed up our password policy, and we were able to offer training for Cybersecurity Awareness Month this October as well. As far as infrastructure, we've been doing camera upgrades in all of the buildings. We've also installed PA systems at Cherry Creek, Superior Hills, and the Alt School, and did a big radio upgrade with the help of Eric as well. Now onto the desktops. Our current fleet of desktops, the newest of which are 12 years old, are overdue for an upgrade. Windows 10 support will be ending this October, and while our desktops will run it, it will be painful. So I am proposing that we upgrade our desktops, starting with our building administrators. We would be looking at purchasing 56 regular desktops and then 16 camera desktops for the administrators. This would be a grand total of $41,774.80. Yeah, that's pretty much the proposal. I'd love to answer any questions.
If I could just add a little bit, Ms. Gladwell, I just anecdotally earlier today went to run the software for our cameras, and because I have the whole system on my machine, I wanted to show Linda some of the capabilities, and the processing speed on those desktops just does not keep up with that software. It was fitting considering the proposal was on the agenda tonight, so.
Does anyone have any further questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Gladwell. So I guess we'll just keep moving down the list until I see our other guests from the Friends of the Planetarium, Shires Planetarium. So next up is our food service director, Mr. Chris Collins.
Hello. As part of our spend down plan in food service, we are looking at purchasing some new food equipment for our cafeterias. Our Sandy Knoll cafeteria needs some updating, so we're looking to modernize and bring in some stainless steel type equipment, a work table, a new hot table, a cold table, all at one height so the students can put their tray on the tray pass and slide down without making any messes of sorts that could occur. And as we were quoting this out, JRJ Food Equipment came in at the most competitive price at $24,088.42. Next up, we received a request from the Bothwell Cafeteria to purchase new cafeteria tables, 3 specifically for the Bothwell Cafeteria. The most competitive price on that came in from Strike Equipment at $4,602. And then we're looking at, since we do have our central kitchen, we're looking at bringing in some more mobile heated cabinets for the transport of food. These cabinets would be able to transport full sheet pan size food. So right now we're using food that's transported in motel pans that is covered up. Sometimes this can get a little soggy, you know, but with these new carts where the food is kept on sheet pans, it wouldn't be as soggy, a little fresher, more palatable for the students. So looking at these mobile heated cabinet carts, the most competitive price came in from HPS at $11,904.16. And the last piece of equipment, we're looking at a Vulcan convection oven for the central kitchen. Excuse me. And this convection oven, we removed the deck ovens last year for the Combi project. Okay. And we have a space open with electric, and we want to utilize all of the space that we have in the kitchen, and we want to bring in this Vulcan convection oven. Since we are, you know, past 2 years, we've been providing meals at no cost to families. So we've been producing food at a higher rate than normal. This is going to give us a little more flexibility and a little more efficiency of our time to be able to prepare and cook food and get that sent out in an efficient manner. The most competitive price was from HPS at $13,269.68. I am expecting that there's going to be a little bit more of a hookup cost with electrical, needing an electrician, possibility that these convection ovens are going to be shipped unstacked, so we would need to have them stacked on top of each other and connected. So we are expecting to have some additional cost yet associated with that project. Does anyone have any questions?
With the additional cost, did you anticipate any significance to that, or is it relatively minor compared to the bid?
I believe that the electrical connection, I don't believe we're going to need to upgrade breakers, but the stacking of the ovens, I heard talk of a forklift, so that may come in a little more expensive than what I would like, what we would like. However, I'm not sure where that is at this moment.
Any additional construction costs anticipated as far as infrastructure?
Nope, just anticipating stacking the ovens, bringing them in, and then connecting them to the existing electricity.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. We'll do one more and then we'll loop back to the planetarium. Mr. Vanderscaff for bus fleet report and bus purchase proposal.
Good evening, everyone. Lloyd Vanderscaff here. I think in your board packet there's a memorandum regarding the bus purchase. This year we're asking for 2 buses, one new Bluebird and one used international bus. The logic behind that is it gets us below our budgeted allocated amount, which was I believe $260,000. But Mr. Ledman could back me up on that one, but we've had good luck with our used internationals that we purchased in the past. This would be another sort of off-lease bus, so 3 model years old that have been used for 3 school years at a different district, about 45,000 miles on those buses. As I said, the international buses have been pretty solid and robust, and we've purchased some Bluebirds last year we purchased 3 new Bluebird buses, and we've had some electrical gremlins that kind of call their quality control into question. Nothing too terrible. We've had to dispatch some wreckers and some what would you call them, a recovery bus to a couple different instances. So that's a little concerning on buses that were purchased brand new last year. That's kind of why we're hedging our bet a little bit against the Bluebird and towards the International. If you look at the history of our bus fleet, there was a period from 2012 to 2019 where 6 of those years we didn't purchase any buses. So also I think you have a spreadsheet that details kind of by model year the buses. If there's an A, that means we purchased 2 that year. If there's a B, it means we purchased 3. The buses that we have in inventory, the 3 that were kind of aged out / didn't pass their DOT inspection at the beginning or across the summer of this school year, and 4 that we kind of anticipate are at hazard of not passing this year. So in anticipation of keeping a healthy bus fleet and minimizing the instances where we have to call out a wrecker or send out a rescue bus to students on the road or a sports trip, at some distance away, we'd ask for the 2 buses that are proposed. If there are any questions, happy to field them.
I'll just piggyback a little bit on Mr. Vanderscaff. The board has heard us talk about the bus fleet a number of times. We came in and the bus fleet was not in great condition, and have purchased roughly 10 buses just in the 3.5 years or so since I've been in this position. And we're in a much better place than we've been, but I guess so as to avoid putting ourselves back in the position that we were in, we believe 2 buses a year will maintain the fleet appropriately.
I have a question. So we have 3 buses that fail, correct?
Correct.
And it looks like we have 4 that are questionable.
Correct.
So is buying 2 buses going to cover the potential loss of 7 buses? And what's the plan? They're not coming till June. If these indeed fail inspection and we have 7 failed buses, do we have a backup plan?
Well, 3 are already gone off the books. Those are just in
Right.
there so
Right.
last year the forecast was that 4 were going to fail. So one of them still stuck around. That one's probably almost certainly gone this year.
Yeah.
I think we'd still be pretty good. We have, like for example, in the afternoon, we'd have 14 buses that need to be on the road against a fleet of notionally 22 right now. So we do have a pretty good backup roster of buses. I would say I don't think I've seen more than 2 spare buses out at a given point,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So I think even if we kind of worst case 4, even 5, then we would still have more spare buses than what I've seen go out in my all of one semester being in the role.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yep.
And one more point, just to clarify, we do have $275,000 budgeted in the 24-25 year for school bus purchases.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Vanderscaff. Appreciate that report. So we're going to move on to the Friends of the Shires Planetarium, and I guess I'll invite Miss Riley, Laura Riley, Mr. Eric Smith, and Mr. Travis Hongestow. Not sure if you're going to be up there at the same time, but Mr. Hongestow is also available as our architect, helping us with the project if we get into technical questions. So, Miss Riley.
All right, thank you. I'm first of all going to assume that everybody has the memo that I prepared regarding the recap of what we're asking for from the board today. I am a board member and in fact one of the founders of this great entity that is trying hard to raise funds to replace the broken projector in the planetarium and make the necessary infrastructure updates in order to support all of the technology that goes along with the projector. As you saw in the memo, we've been extremely successful with fundraising. And we have absolutely no doubt that we will close the small remaining gap that we have for the amount that we need. So at this time, the ask that we're making is to request that as many of the contributions that we are receiving from the public have some sort of pay over time aspect. These pledges we're confident will come in, but They are not all available to us now. At the same time is of the essence, especially with IDI Architects already being here on premises. We've got some nice cost savings and efficiencies that would happen if we were able to have the money fronted for us, knowing that we have a promise to pay back and we have every confidence we'll receive it from those who have pledged to us. So we're asking the board to, first of all, advance the amount of money that we will need to complete the physical plant upgrades to host the new projector and the technology that comes with it. And we're also asking that the board contribute $50,000 toward this build out. It is the part of the MSHS building that the board normally has oversight on. It was not upgraded as much as it probably could have been the last time the board revisited updates to that part of the school where the planetarium is. So we are simply asking that the board make a contribution to this and being confident that we can raise the rest and complete the rest of the costs that will come with that upgrade. I'm here for questions if anybody has any.
So to recap, this memo, we advanced $750,000 prior, correct?
Yes.
And the ask is for an additional $50,000 on top of the $750,000?
So let me go through it. So essentially, the board did advance to us about $750,000 in order to pay lump sum down on the projector and the technology needed. And as a result, we have begun reimbursing the district for that. So we have just directed $262,600 of our funds to be reimbursed to MAPS, okay? The additional amount of $262,600 will be reimbursed from our amounts when our commitments are there. And then finally, we have a reimbursement that's going to come directly to MAPS from the state in the amount of $250,000. So yes, it's a $750,000 advancement, but it's already being paid down rapidly. And so we're asking for the build-out funds of $191,062 to be fronted for us tonight, as well as a contribution made from the board toward that of $50,000.
So without the anticipated payback, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it correctly.
Yeah.
So the anticipation that the confidence for the donations has been, you're confident in these, I'm assuming it's a, I forget the term offhand, but commitment to pay.
Pledges. Yep.
Thank you. So the pledges are there and the confidence is those will arrive, and then as they arrive, the district is, for lack of a better term, reimbursed, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So the largest of the pledges comes from the Shiras Institute, the Shiras Foundation. I happen to be a board member on that foundation. We have made a multi-year commitment to continue to fund, but because of the way Shiras Institute is structured, we are only able to pull X amount of dollars from our endowment a year at a time. So we are absolutely committed to it. We just have a time factor that we weigh in on. So the largest amount is more or less guaranteed funds. It just has to allow time to move on for the endowment to bring forth every installment payment.
Understood. Thank you. And so the net, I'm sorry. Sure. I just have one.
What is that timeline? I understand that you've got a cap on how much the foundation can donate at a certain point, but to make up that balance, what are you thinking?
Let me think here. The main man who would know the answer to that, Ward Brantala, is not here tonight. But I can tell you it's a matter of, I think, 4 years or so.
Okay.
It's not a long timeline.
So 5 years or under, we're not
Yes.
talking about an extension of 15 years or
Correct.
something.
Correct.
Sorry, thank you.
Christine's in it.
No, yeah, you're good. And so essentially the ask tonight is for a 50,000, another, either are you asking for an advancement, or is that $50,000, would that come out of the general fund as like a donation from Marquette Area Public Schools, or is that something that would come back similar to the other $750,000?
Great question. We are asking for a straight up contribution of $50,000 from the general fund to contribute to the plant, the physical plant build out. We are also asking for an advancement of the remaining $191,062 to complete those upgrades. And as you can see on your memo, those are detailed in the building renovation to be done by IDI, and the lighting and the chairs.
So the total ask is for $241,000 or $241,000.
1,000.
Yeah, and $62.
Correct.
But then 50,000 of that you don't pay back, we contribute.
That's correct.
So in other words, that $50,000 is embedded in that 241?
Correct.
Okay. So it's not actually a total tonight of, again, not a great math person, 290.
No, it is not.
I got you.
So it's 241.62 is the total ask on the physical plant build out. $50,000 would not be paid back, but rather be a contribution from the general fund. And the remaining $191,062 would be reimbursed by Friends of Shiras Planetarium.
Last question would be more or less directed to Mr. Lampman or Mr. Sedgwick. Is any difficulties in making those adjustments on NAPS's end, given where we're at?
I will let Mr. Lamb speak to the finance specifically, but I'll say that this has been a couple of years in the making, so we have planned accordingly to account for the lag in some of the revenue coming in from the Friends of the Shiras Planetarium, included in our budget.
I would agree with that statement. So as you recall, the board committed to purchasing the projector at a cost of $775,200. We made that purchase in the fall of 24. And since that time, we have received about just under half of that money back. We have received $125,000 from state grant through MEDC. And we have received recently a check for $262,500 from Friends of the Shiras Planetarium. So we've already begun to recover those costs. So we've been reimbursed for half the cost of the projector that we purchased this year. The other $125,000 from the MEDC grant we expect to come through shortly. They're in the process of closing out the grant now that we've actually made the projector purchase. So we are on the way to recovering a significant portion of the cost of the projector. And there are commitments, but they are multi-year commitments. So we'd be front-loading some of these additional costs. But that's something that the district can manage currently if the board so chooses to agree with the proposal on the table.
Thank you. And then just the last question. I'm sorry for so many questions. So,
It's okay.
But with MAPS then contributing out of the general fund, is there going to be a relationship with the Shiras Planetarium and the schools with curriculum or with visitation or?
Absolutely. This is the reason for it. Currently, I'm not sure if you've been to the planetarium lately, but the projector is pretty much on its last legs. And in order to keep up the planetarium as an educational resource for MAPS and the region, this projector must be replaced. So we have dedicated space in the building for it that's existed since the 1960s. It's been functioning as a planetarium since then, but the technology has left us behind and we have a lot of broken stuff in that space. So that's the reason for it, is first and foremost, to be an educational resource for every teacher in the district, and additionally, to be a resource for the local community and the region, as many schools from around the UP bus kids in to attend shows at that planetarium.
Thank you. Just out of curiosity, was there any additional asks from the other schools to contribute with their utilization of the facility?
No, but I will say this, we've had much success in the outlying areas of the UP, particularly from Delta County, and raising the funds that we need. So not the school districts, but certainly the citizens and the foundations that are in the outlying areas have been extremely generous.
Mr. Riley, if you could confirm that the Friends of the Shires Planetarium is part of their fundraising efforts and plans. Short-term plans, obviously, with the renovation, but then long-term plans as part of this, especially now that the fundraising campaign has gone public, is to create an endowment so that we, in the future, the Friends of the Shires Planetarium can absorb some of the additional repairs that come with advancing technology without necessarily having this repeat of this exercise.
Exactly. So we found when this projector basically broke that there was no money available to do anything with it. So essentially we would just have an extra empty room next to the Aux Gym called the planetarium. And for myself and Becky LeBrecq, the planetarium director, and a whole lot of other citizens, that was not acceptable to us. So we went ahead and did the legal legwork. I happen to be a lawyer, so they got a really good price on this. I did the Friends of Shires Planetarium organization. We created 2 funds that exist within the MAPS Education Foundation. So we rely on their 501c3 nonprofit status to make these asks and receive these contributions. We have 2 funds there. One is the Immediate Projector Fund. So all the funds we're currently raising go into the Projector Fund. And we're now in the public phase of fundraising. We had a successful quiet phase, raising mostly from foundations and friends. Once we are completed with the public phase, if we have funds left over that exceed the amounts that we need for the immediate projector upgrades, those funds are going to automatically pour into a second fund we've set up that is an endowment. The purpose of the endowment is to build some kind of sustainable pot of money to make sure that we can continue to keep that planetarium relevant and make the technology upgrades needed.
Mr. Zdunek, if I could clear up just one point. We financed the purchase of the projector from the Capital Projects Fund. We have not utilized any general fund dollars for this project. And I would recommend, if the board so chose to move forward with this proposal, that we continue funding the remainder or advancing the remainder of the Capital Projects Fund.
Mr. Hongesto is here, architect for IDI, overseeing the project design and completion. Is there anything for Mr. Hongesto that I should bring him up before we move on? Looks like you're off the hook. Okay, so I'll take that as a no. Thank you so much, Ms. Riley.
Thank you.
All right, adjust the microphone a bit. So, Marquette Area Public Schools is joining 537 local and 56 intermediate school districts across Michigan to celebrate January as School Board Recognition Month. In another year full of challenges for public education, our school board members persevered through the adversity of 2024 to provide the best possible education for our students. Celebrating School Board Recognition Month is one of the very small ways to express appreciation for all that they do. The individuals serving MAPS in their years of service are President Kristen Cambenzi, serving since 2015, Glenn Sarka, Vice President serving since 2019, Jason Zdunek, Secretary Treasurer serving since 2023, Jennifer Klipp, Trustee, serving since 2021, Jennifer Ray, trustee, serving since 2021. Cheryl Maddox Smith, trustee, serving since 2023. And Cassidy Thomas, trustee, serving since recently, 2025. MAPS would also like to thank James Hewitt for serving for 10 years from 2015 to 2024. School board members represent the views and priorities of their community in the complex system of maintaining and running the district's public schools. They also reinforce the principle of local control over public education, which is important, it is an important, highly valued aspect of education in Michigan. Too often, the efforts of the school board members go unrecognized. Even though we are making a special effort during January to show appreciation for our school board members, we recognize their contributions reflect a year-round effort on their part. No matter what challenges lie ahead for our districts in 2025, our school board members will continue to govern to improve student achievement and provide exceptional education for all our community's children. My sincere gratitude to all of our members of the MAPS Board of Education on behalf of the students and staff at MAPS, thank you so much for your service. If you could just join me for a quick round of applause, and as we do, our student rep, Nate Wood, has got something that he would like to present to the board on behalf of the students and staff. So a round of applause for our board.
Thank you, Mr. Sedgwick. So yeah, obviously, all the students, including me at MSHS, are very, very thankful for our Board of Education, which helps not just MSHS, but obviously the whole school district. And so on behalf of the CTE students, they made some shirts for you guys. Miss Hopper has them. And so afterwards, if you want to grab one on the way out, it's just a reminder that we thank all of you guys, not just in January, but every month, and we don't take your hard work for granted. Thank you all.
Okay, well, that was a very gracious act on your part, Nate, and the students and staff at MSHS and the CTE program specifically, which I understand has a whole new business enterprise in the works. So well done. Okay, one more note, and this one is a little bit more difficult, so bear with me. So it is with deep sadness that we announce the passing of Glenn Sarka, a dedicated and compassionate member of the Marquette Area Public Schools Board of Education. Glenn passed away on January 23rd, 2025, after a courageous battle with cancer. Our hearts go out to his family, especially his beloved daughter, Layla. Glenn's commitment to education and public service was evident in everything he did. He served on the Board of Education since January 2018, driven by his firm belief in being the change he wished to see in the world. A Marquette native, Glenn was a proud product of the local school system, having attended Whitman Elementary, Beaver Grove Elementary, Silver Creek Elementary, Bothell Middle School, and then Marquette Senior High School. As a young man, he also served for 5 years as a Bay Cliff Science Camp counselor and enjoyed, as many of us can attest, reminiscing about his years as a camper there. His passion for helping others extended far beyond his role on the board. Glenn's career as a skilled attorney and consultant with a focus on justice, policy analysis, and human rights took him around the world. From serving as a senior governance advisor in Iraq to training local police officers on mental health legislation in Marquette, Glenn's impact was felt both locally and internationally. A dedicated community member, Glenn volunteered his time with many organizations, including the Marquette Food Co-op, United Way, and the YMCA. His work in the areas of domestic violence prevention, gender issues, and public advocacy showed his unwavering commitment to making the world a better place for all. Glenn was a loving father, a passionate advocate, and a devoted public servant. His legacy will live on in the many lives he touched through his work and his dedication to our community. He will be deeply missed, and his contributions will not be forgotten. So rest in peace, Glenn. We will miss your laughter, your smile, your jokes, your profound words, and especially your kind heart. If you could just all join me for a moment of silence, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of the consent agenda. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the organizational meeting of January 6, 2025, the personnel report dated January 2025, and the financial reports of December 2024.
Make a recommendation to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Zedudnik, support by Mrs. Maddox Smith. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving on to the Student School Board Representatives Report.
Thank you very much. So Caleb is not here today. I don't know where he is, but he's not here. So, trying to think back. Yes. So before or after our last meeting, we had right before winter break, we had a winter assembly, which went really well, and a lot of student participation and a lot of different events. This one was really fun. We had a bunch of relay races in the gym and just kind of a send off into the holiday break, which I think a lot of us enjoyed and a needed break. More recently, this past weekend, I think 14 MSHS students went down to Grand Rapids and rehearsed and performed for State Honors Choir. I was one of those students, and I think this is a great thing that students who are interested in chorus and the fine arts, I think it's a great opportunity that they can go and do. We drove down in a terrible snowstorm. It's not that good that it's downstate. I should get more representation up here sometimes, but it's just my thought. But it was a lot of fun. We rehearsed for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We had a concert on Saturday, and it was a lot of fun. And it's great to be with a bunch of other students who care about a thing as much as MSHS students do. And besides that, Student Council is getting ready for Winter Homecoming, which is on Valentine's Day, February 14th. It's a half day, and we're going to have a fun assembly. We're going to end the day off with the assembly, which I think is something new, at least in my years at MSHS. So something to look forward to for students after exams just wrapped up today. Which of course is stressful for everyone, so it's nice to have something to look forward to. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Comments from the public? I don't believe we have any. Moving on to new business. Approve the planetarium physical plant request by Friends of Shivers Planetarium and change order number 3 to the MAP Science Labs project as recommended by IDI. So I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the planetarium physical plant request by the Friends of Shivers Planetarium, as well as the change order number 3 to the MAPS Science Lab projects as recommended by IDI.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Zedudnik, support by Mrs. Klipp. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving number B, approve purchase of desktop computers as recommended. I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the purchase of the desktop computers as recommended.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Maddox Smith, support by Mrs. Klipp. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to C, approve purchase of food service equipment and Sandy Knoll cafeteria equipment as recommended. I would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve the purchase of the food service equipment at Sandy Knoll as recommended.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Zedunick, support by Mrs. Maddox Smith. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to D, approved purchase of 2 school buses as recommended. I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the purchase of the 2 school buses as recommended.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Maddox Smith, support by Mrs. Klipp. Any further comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to E. Discuss the process for selecting board appointee. Sorry. Sorry. This is something that by state law we have to do within the next 30 days is fill Mr. Sarka's position. So we will, the process is to usually have people submit letters of interest and resumes, and then the board would go through those and make a recommendation for interviews, and then we would interview 2 or 3 candidates in an open meeting, and then select someone who would fill the position for 2 years until the next election. And then the seat would be, the remaining 4-year term would be on the ballot for someone to fill.
My understanding is that this is a process that's been put in place and recommended by the state and RISA, that this is not something that this board came up with in the last 24 hours. This is an established process. It's not unusual that board members are unable to fulfill their full term for a variety of reasons. Is that correct, President Kim Bensey?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
So if the board has no objections, I would like to open up letters of interest and resumes for anyone in the community that is interested in fulfilling this board seat for the next 2 years. I believe, what's the Friday?
So I am thinking that we should open it up until no later than February 6th at 4, because you will need to have a meeting to select those finalists that will be interviewed on February 17th, with the meeting probably being on Monday, February 10th, or 11th, or Tuesday, February 11th. We would have to figure out when we would have a quorum and when the best date would be. I don't think we figured that out tonight.
Okay. So just to reiterate that we would accept letters of interest and resumes up until February 7th.
February 4 o'clock p.m. on February 6th.
Oh, February 6th, okay.
Thursday, February 6th, is that a Thursday?
Yeah.
So Thursday, February 6th at 4.
Thursday, February 6th at 4.
And then the board would review those. Is it prior to that, or when, I guess, when is the review process?
So we would review them individually and then meet as a group to discuss the candidates and then select 2 or 3 to interview. And then the interviews must be conducted in open session at our regular board meeting, which would be on the 17th.
Okay.
So by state law, we have until February 22nd to fill this position, or it is sent to Marisa for them to appoint someone.
For those submissions, I guess this might be a question for you, Linda. Are we able to recommend submitting that to you then, or?
We have a posting ready to go that'll be posted tomorrow. It's ready now.
The posting, just so that I was prepared, just with our past practice, in case the board were to decide to go with past practice, and with like Jennifer Cliff said, with what's recommended by MASB. And so they would actually send their resumes, letters of interest, they would submit them right to our office at Central.
Is that
And
through a
then the
link?
board, I would forward them to the board as we receive.
We'll have a post on our website with how to apply
Right.
and the deadline, the dates for when the applications are being accepted. And then I'll just add that we did review history, Linda and I did, and found past precedent, which we're also following. So we have that established process already in place that we've done before.
That's at mapsnet.org.
www.mapsnet.org. By sometime tomorrow morning, we'll have that posting up with the details on how to apply.
Thank you.
Okay. I don't think we need a vote on that or anything, do we?
We had a discussion, so, we could have a motion to proceed with that process as discussed. I don't think that would hurt.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to proceed with the process for selecting a board appointee as discussed.
Support.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Klipp, support by Mrs. Maddox Smith. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to board member comments. Ms. Thomas?
Thank you to the Friends of Shires Planetarium for coming out and talking to us about your budget. I'm very excited to see what you guys have in store for us. Thank you to Mr. Collins for discussing the food service equipment that you guys need, and thank you to Mr. Vanderstaff for discussing the buses. I'm excited to get you a couple new buses on the road. And thank you to Ms. Gladwell for discussing the new computers. I hope they run faster. And of course, we're all saddened, and there's no words to express how sad we are to have lost Mr. Sarka. I unfortunately did not get to serve on the board with him, but ran with him, and one of the last messages I have in my phone from him is that he's very proud of me. So I'm very lucky to have known him, and I cannot imagine the pain you all feel.
Mrs. Maddox Smith?
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for the updates. Getting up there and speaking to all of us, that's like can be stressful, but thanks everybody for answering all of our questions, even though sometimes they're tedious. Mrs. Gladwell, Mr. Collins, Mr. Vanderschaff, the planetarium, I am so excited to see how this all ends. And I think this is just an amazing thing for our community, our students to see to the edge of the universe. I mean, I think the closest planetarium that I've been to is perhaps Ann Arbor. So this is just a great thing for our kids, for our community. So proud that our community is just stepping up and glad to be a part of that. Nate and the CTE students, thank you so, so much. Recognizing the board and, you know, really makes us, it really makes us feel good, and it's why we're here, you know, so thank you so much. Hard to follow on the loss of Glenn Sarka. I would just say that those are big shoes to fill. He's irreplaceable. I feel that this board will follow in his lasting light that will just illuminate our way. Thank you, everyone.
Mrs. Clip.
Thank you so much to our speakers who were able to provide clarity and patiently answer our questions. I'm really excited about the progress that we're making on all fronts. And of course, the planetarium just is a point of exceptionalism for our district, and we are not unaware of that. So we want to thank you for all the time that you put in before this meeting. It's obviously been several years in the making, and it's a real jewel for our community. Just prayers for the entire community. If you had an opportunity to know Glenn in any meaningful way beyond the school board, you know what an exceptional human he was, what an exceptional patriot he was. The service he provided both to our community and globally. It is a loss, and it's a loss that many of our community feel. This word gets sort of bandied around a lot, but the first word that comes to my mind when I think about Mr. Sarka is integrity. And frankly, it's getting rarer and rarer these days that people mean what they say and say what they mean, and live an honest life and serve not their own self-interests, but a community in as many ways as Mr. Sarka did. So my heart goes out to the Marquette community and of course his family. Thank you.
Mr. Zdovnik.
Well, somber day for this board, you know, the community as well. So condolences to Glenn and his family. Just it was disappointing to hear that. So you know, I can't add a whole lot more than what was said. So just echo the condolences. You know, exciting news for a lot of things happening at the district, but certainly that not being one of them. So again, difficult news, and so very, very somber to hear.
Thank you. Board President comments. Thank you, everyone, for being here for today's meeting and for all your hard work behind the scenes to continue some of these great projects that are going on in the district. Yes, I'd like to echo many of my board members' comments regarding Mr. Sarka. The past couple of years, Mr. Sarka, serving as vice president, would always get to comment before I did, and he would always come up with these just amazing things to say, and I'd be listening to him and thinking in the back of my head, like, how am I supposed to compete against that? Because he would just come up with just some amazing words that just like tied everything together, and he was just a great man, and I'm really gonna miss him. Announcements and other meetings. January 29th, 8th grade orientation, 9 through 12 early release. 8th grade parent orientation, 6 p.m. in the Little Theater. February 10th through the 14th, Spirit Week, February 14th, PD half-day for students. February 17th, 2025, board meeting here in the library at 5:30. And I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you.